So yeah.
So that's gonna be the sleeper episode. Gotcha.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
But you'll be back in full swing on 45, right?
Full 45. I'm a really solid. I love 45.
There he goes.
All right, guys. Give me once. We're gonna start in just a few seconds. Where's my camera here? Here we go. Cut this a little short. All right, you guys ready? Get your cervezas, get your drinks, get your water bottles. I'm drinking water now because I need to.
I got
Cut
the
off
real,
quotas and such.
got the real
Diets,
Pepsi
get
today.
your diets, all that stuff. Oh, I love that cup. Atari X. All right, guys, here we go. We are going to get started right now. So, welcome to the Gamerz Realm podcast. We are live here. Myself, Mr. Switch, as your main host, and we have our guests here. All you guys are special guests here. We got Ryan Drayson.
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
We got Awaken Bacon.
Hey, good evening, everybody.
We got Santa Chuki.
Yo, what is up, everybody?
We got Slayer Dan and Mama Slayer.
Hello.
We got Atari X.
Hello there.
And we got Mr. Martel.
What's going on, everybody? Pleasure to be here.
And we got the awesome Steven.
Hi, I don't know if I qualify as a guest.
Yes, you are a special guest. Just like everyone else here. And our main special guest today is the awesome. He's done voices of Toad from the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, a voice director of Sailor Moon, and a lot of other such great works. And we got John Stocker.
You know,
Everybody now.
Definitely a great time to have him.
thank you. It's great to be
Two
back.
times.
Yeah.
Our second time we're having John. It's an honor to have you on
Thanks, pal.
second opportunity that we have, so we can ask you questions and hopefully we can surprise you with some new ones, and we might repeat ourselves a few. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off just like I'm going to say happy holidays to everyone, a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I hope you guys have a great one through these holidays, through these awful times that we've been going through in 2020. It hasn't been the brightest year. We all go through our difficulties, but we're all going to stand tall and get through it and, be here for one another, whether it's at home with love of our family and children, but also with friends here as we meet here on the podcast and through the community on Twitter and such. So I'm going to start off on John Stocker. Just want to get it easy for those who weren't here before, or maybe didn't see the last one. Give us a brief, or take your time, a little bit of your history, how things started off, and up to today. Or don't give me every single thing because that'll probably take a few hours.
No, at least, at least 2 hours. I'll be really brief, and that'll give anybody that wants to an opportunity to, ask me about filling in the blanks and plugging the holes. So, I mean, I'm coming up in January. I will be a union member for 52 years. I'm tired just saying it. Anyway, it's been a great haul. I was a performer before that. I did a lot of work as a non-union performer, but of course, getting into the union afforded me the opportunity to do higher end material and higher end work. I did a number of years as a commercial voice actor when I started my voice work. Before then, I'll take a half step back, and when I was doing my on-camera work, I was again, this is right after I joined the union. I did a couple of series. I worked with a few people you've probably heard of. John Candy and I were good buddies. Dan Aykroyd, Eugene Levy, Gilda Radner, Catherine O'Hara, Joe Flaherty, Dave Thomas, a lot of the people who've gone on to some wonderful, wonderful work. Did I say Gilda Radner? Gilda Radner.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'll say her again because she was so wonderful. Sweetheart. So that was kind of the start of my acting career in terms of higher profile stuff. And then I went into doing some commercial voice work, which I still do. Not nearly as much, of course, but that's the way it is. And then I started to work in animation, which is I mean, I really love animation. It's the free form feel of animation as opposed to the sort of somewhat restrictive form that commercials are. I mean, in commercials, there's a right way to read it and a wrong way. Fortunately, I read it the right way enough times. But in animation, there's nobody that can tell you, oh, that's the right read, that's the wrong read. It's just a read, and then it's up to pleasing your producers, your writers, that you're the person that should fill the character void that they're looking for. So I started to do a lot of work with animation. I started out with some of my favorite work and characters. I was the voice of Beastly in Care Bears. A lot of you know that.
I love that. I love that show.
Care
Yeah.
Bears is great. You know what?
Awesome.
It's still on. You know, it's harmless. The wonderful thing about animation, early animation, is it was pure entertainment. There was nobody was trying to be edgy. Nobody was trying to be political. Nobody was trying to sneak in little adult jokes so that nobody knew. It was just entertaining kids. And it wasn't, I call it sort of being whitewashed, where you get the child psychologists and the sociologists, and everybody gets a stab at everything that's done today. And by the time it comes out the other end and it's being broadcast, there's kind of a sameness to them, because they're all everything is kind of purged out of them that's unique and interesting. Back then, we didn't have that same kind of, call it censorship, if you will. But now that the educators run it, it's more education. It has to be educational. Care Bears was just fun. Then the main focal point of it all was good beats evil, ultimately. Which we know is a lie. But it was, and then that was a really sweet show. I went on to do Babar, and then a lot of most of you probably know that all my work was done, or 90% of my work was done out of Toronto, which is one of the two, and still to this day, it's one of the two animation centers in North America. There's Los Angeles and Toronto are the two top places for animation. Toronto was just growing, of course. Los Angeles, Hollywood was already established, but when it started to grow there, the Canadian dollar was worth considerably less at that point than the American dollar. Well, of course, American producers would come up. They love the Canadian voice talent, so they would come up to the States, come up to Canada, come to Toronto, and do a lot of their work. It afforded us the opportunity to do a mountain of work that otherwise would have stayed in Los Angeles. So good for us. Bad for a lot of American performers. I don't think they've still forgiven us to this day, but that's okay. But a lot of Deke work came up here, cops and dinosaurs and stunt dogs. And we did dozens and dozens and dozens of shows. And I was fortunate enough to get into at least 50% of them in some capacity, either as a regular or as a guest. So the whole Deke thing was terrific, melding in with what was being sort of indigenously produced out of Toronto. Sailor Moon was a lot of, I'm sure you all know Sailor Moon, whether you're fans or not.
I grew up on that. I grew up on that show.
But so I was doing a whole bunch of different voices. I would do, they'd bring me in, I'd be the doctor, I'd be the pizza delivery guy, I'd be the voice of some evil guy from somewhere, then I'd be the voice of God from above, and they were changing there was a changing of the guard. The voice director, who was sort of the incumbent voice director, there were some disagreements. And the producer turned to me and said, "John, would you like to be the new voice director?" And I said, "What? What?" And she said, "Yeah, you're a good actor, so you're going to be a terrific voice director." And I said, "Well, I don't know, but I have to think about it. How long have I got?" And she said, "You have to tell me right now." It's like, whoa, okay. So something inside me said, say it and say yes. I said yes. And in the short term, it actually did cost me money and work because it wasn't paying as well as voice performing. And I had to be in the studio all day as opposed to coming in for an hour, doing what I had to do and saying, see you later, going to the pub. But it ultimately turned into probably one of the best career moves I ever made because voice directing became as much a part of my life. And in later years, starting again with the original Beyblade that was great. The great series, Totally Spies and Martin Mystery, and there's just a mountain of stuff that I've worked on since then as a voice director. And so those two disciplines worked hand in hand. Then I started to teach, which I still do. And of course, when I was voice directing, I was casting as well. And casting I don't do very much of anymore. But I still voice direct, voice perform, and teach. And I do seminars, and I do a lot of cons. I've probably been in all of your areas at one point or another. So there it is. That's sort of the story of my career in about 10 minutes. And again, any of you that have questions that would kind of go along with any of that, or you can ask me about any of the
so much.
I've done, or if you've done, a lot of people sometimes I do I'll do a seminar, and people who know I'm going to be on research me and say and come up with stuff that I neglected to mention. I'm perfectly willing to talk about any of those things. You got a question? I may have an answer.
All right. Let's get started. Ryan Drayson, what you got for us?
Yeah, so I guess sort of talking about things you didn't mention, John. As far as I understand, you were involved with it. Sorry?
I say, of course, the first question.
So as far as I understand, you were involved with a project that's very near and dear to my heart, and actually is directly responsible for my love of one of my biggest hobbies. Got me into reading comic books, the X-Men 1992 animated series. So what can you tell us about that? And I guess my actual question would be, like, what was your favorite episode or experience from working on that show?
Well, that's a tough one, and I'll tell you why. It's because I remember I was Creed, and I remember every scene, every time I was in, I was angry. It was like, it's one of the it's like probably the easiest emotion. It's like every time I see an Oscar clip and they show somebody who's angry, it's like, no, it's anybody can do an angry scene, just about, right? So, but Creed was really, really over the top. I mean, it was, and again, that X-Men was a Deke. I talked about Deke that came up and did the shows. And by the way, I should tell you that I don't ever know what Deke stood for, but we used to call it Do It Cheap, because it was DIC, and they always thought,
Maybe that is what they stand for.
What is it?
Maybe that is what they stand for.
It may be. It may be. But hey, that gave us a lot of work. So unfortunately, I can't really tell you about anything specific. I've been asked to recreate Creed a couple of times, right? But it's one of those ones that, and I'm sorry I can't. But I always sort of make a note to go and look up, and try to review them, because I know they're all online, right? All the episodes. Yeah. So please forgive me, and that I can't. I mean, I love doing the series. Creed was a great character because, he took over when Creed was on, he took over the screen, right? You had to look at him because, you know, and it was a great experience for me being, you know, that kind of really, because I don't play a lot of bad guys, right? They always hire me for, you know, being the good guy, or I've often been the bad guy's sidekick. The bad guy's sidekick's always a good guy, right? In cartoons. But you know, it was great because, you know, we all need to blow off steam occasionally. And he was one of those characters I can go in. And it was great because no matter what, I can vent playing Creed. But more specifically, you got me. I'm sorry. I wish I could remember.
I appreciate hearing that. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions, Ryan? At the moment?
No, you can go on to someone
Okay.
else. And maybe
All
come
right,
back.
let's go on. Let's
Keep
see,
thinking. Ryan.
Sorry.
I'm just encouraging Ryan to think of something else.
If you got something, we'll get back to you. Steven, what's going on with you?
No
How you
thoughts, head empty. I
Head
have
empty?
nothing.
You're nothing right now. Okay, we'll move. Martel, what you got for us, buddy?
Actually, I got something. What's your favorite? I would say, what's your favorite memory of voice acting, and what's your favorite role of all time if you have a choice? Yes, sir.
Well, I do have a choice because I've done many, but I'll be honest with you. I get asked that, and I love talking about this character, and it was Beastly from Care Bears, because Beastly was sort of the quintessential. When I talk about being, you know, the bad guy's sidekick, he was the quintessential bad guy's sidekick. You know, Beastly was really a sweetheart. I mean, he was a nice guy, and you know, in the Care Bears, you know, tried to. He didn't want to fight them. He kind of wanted to be one of them, really. You know, he was just, but you know, but no heart. You know, paid the mortgage. So what's he gonna do? Right? He's got to go. He's got to go to work. Right. You know, I can see his wife saying, "Where are you off to today, honey?" "No, I don't know. Just I don't know. It's just no heart will want me to do something. Boy, I'm pissed. Oh, I don't know what to do." And but he'd have to go out. He'd have to go out and you know, and try to scare up the Care Bears. But he was a great character, and it was also great because one of the special things about Beastly, and the reason I feel really close to him, is whoops, what did I just do? I just touched something, and it wasn't myself.
Uh-oh.
No, there we are. I got to create the voice. And when you create a voice, if you're a voice, I don't know how many of you are voice actors who want to be, but one of the wonderful things about when you create a voice, you create a character with him. You also, if the voice in certain instances, you help the artist as well, because the way you phrase things and the way you deliver and the emotional input that you give and the attitudinal elements that you put in, I mean, that's that if those guys, those fabulous artists that they feel that and they hear it. It's this symbiotic relationship that you have with the guys that are drawing you. And when I went in to create Beastly, I was with a guy that had hired me before. Pardon me. He'd hired me for a bunch of stuff, and he worked it was in Albana. And I said, "Hey, Rob, what are we doing with this guy?" Because he just booked me. We had no idea what I was going to do. And he showed me this character and said, "What do you got for this guy?" I said, "I don't know." And I started playing around with different voices. And until we came up with what you know as the original Beastly. And it was kind of it was just kind of an epiphany. It was like, wow. And everybody went, "Oh my God, that's it. That's the da-da-da-da-da." Now, I don't know if I'll also mention, if we have time, right? To a little story. Andres, I can tell a little story. Yeah, okay.
Plenty of time.
I'm telling
Please.
it anyway, so I'm glad you said
Thank you.
Story time.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know if I told this the first time. I've told this story before, but it's still one of my favorites, and I still get a kick out of it. I don't know if I told it the last time I was on, but there was a comedian that probably none of you would really remember, and his name was Jackie Gleason, and he's very funny.
Oh
guy.
yeah.
Well, Jackie Gleason, great guy, great dramatic actor too, I used to watch him all the time. I loved his way and his humor, and he used to do a thing. It's a one-liner that he used to use that he would come out and give his intro, and before they got into the show, he would do a little thing, and he would go, "And away we go." And the voice that he used there, I took, pitched it up, and used it. You know what you did that, right? And so Beastly came from Jackie Gleason, and I hope Jackie's looking down and saying, "You son of a bitch, you stole my voice." No, I you know what? It's a tribute to him. I liked him as a performer and an actor, and I'm pleased. And when I teach anyway, I tell all my students, go ahead and steal, because everybody's voice is different. Everybody's pipes are different. You take, there are only so many voices out there, so many things. So borrow from different characters. If you're sitting on a park bench and somebody's sitting next to you, listen. If you're in a room and there's somebody that's giving a speech, listen. Take a little bit. If they've got interesting characteristics in their voice, use those to develop new characters. So that's from personal experience. So there you go. Beastly is my favorite character, and yeah, I love them. I even have, when I do cons, I have Beastly T-shirts that I have.
Oh.
Yeah, they're neat.
I want one.
They're awesome.
Okay.
Oh, I got one more question, if that's okay with you, everybody.
Sure. Go ahead.
So Dan Aykroyd, I definitely heard he was in Blues Brothers. That's when I definitely heard
Right.
that name, Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah.
Please tell me the relationship with him, if that's allowed, if that's okay.
It
Thank you.
is. It was. It wasn't romantic. Dan and I worked on a series called Dr. Zonk and the Zunkins. Now, Dan at the time was doing Second City in Toronto. They had Second City originated in Chicago, and then they came up to Toronto as an offshoot. And Dan was in the company. Dan was brilliant. As a matter of fact, I just did an interview about a week and a half ago. There's a guy in England who's writing a book on Dan Aykroyd, and I was sort of plumbing the depths of my mind to think of stories. But Dan is such a brilliant improv artist. He would kill me. We'd be on the set and he would just go off on a tangent with something, and it would be so funny. You'd have to sit there and try to hold in the laugh, and he could. And I used him. I didn't use him. Well, we did some different productions. Everybody at that time, and I guess they are today as well. We had all these little personal side projects that we did, and I called Dan in and said, "Are you interested in coming in and just doing a couple of things?" And damn, he came to the studio and he just brought this thing to life. Just some funny stuff. He's brilliant. He doesn't live far from me. I live about 2 hours east of Toronto now, and I have 14 acres out here. So I live in the country, and Dan lives on, I think it's his great grandmother's farm. And north of a town called Kingston. He's about an hour and a quarter away from me now. And I haven't seen him, but I'm hoping that the guy that's writing this book will maybe get us together again. But Dan's gone on to done some wonderful work, and the Ghostbusters. He was in Ghostbusters, and
I love Ghostbusters.
So many things.
I co-wrote Ghostbusters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a very, very funny guy. very funny. We worked on the series we worked on was called Coming Up Rosie. Did 2 years of that series together.
Wow. I'm impressed.
Any other questions for you, Marto?
Actually, I do. John Candy. Can you tell me more about him? He definitely rests in peace. I definitely love about John Candy.
Yeah, Johnny and I were very tight. When he worked on Coming Up Rosie as well. This particular show spawned was those people that had all those names I mentioned before. Almost all of them worked on Coming Up Rosie, and John and I worked on a series just before that. We were characters I mean, you can imagine how early in his career it was. It was called Dr. Zonk and the Zunkins, and we were in these two little carts that were sort of semi-motorized, and we'd have to move them around with our feet, and they were like really primitive kind of robot things. And it was a kid and his two pet robots. How original. And but it was fun, and John and I worked on it, and then we both auditioned for Coming Up Rosie and both got that. And then John started working with SCTV, Second City Television, and then Dan went to Saturday Night Live. And but John and I for 2 years were pretty much inseparable. We were, I mean, if you found him, you found me. If you looked for me, you found him. We had we were both real serious baseball fans. So that when the Toronto Blue Jays started, it was their first game was April 7th, 1977. We beat the White Sox 9-5, and it snowed. And it was an open air stadium at that time. Well, John and I had 4 seats. We bought seasons tickets together, and he was with Rose, his girlfriend at the time, later his wife, and I was with my first wife. And so that's my John Candy. And John and I did, in all truth, lose touch when he went to Hollywood. We lost touch, but it's the way it is. He got involved in a lot of work and different people, and it happens. And distance will do that to you, right?
Oh yeah.
And you do.
All right.
Still loved him. Still loved him.
All right. Thank you for that. Cliff, your camera on? I see Cliff just joined us.
Hi, Cliff.
Oh, he'll join us when he's ready. Let's see.
Hello, how's it going, guys?
Hi, Tom.
Happy holidays.
Cliff.
Well, welcome. Just take your time, getting ready. Let's see. Let's get down to the next question. We are going to ask, what's going on? Slayer Dan and Mama Slayer. What's happening, guys?
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Happy holidays.
Hey.
Hey, Cliff.
How's it
You're
going?
putting the stuff out, by the way. I can see, you're looking for brownie points, putting the little the game and the.
That's actually the series. We actually watched it. It's the actual series.
All right.
Had to put that out just because as you can tell, we're video games nuts. We're completely about video games. And the Toad Dolls are all over the place, but
good
stuff like that.
And I got
that kinda
Super
brings
Mario
me-
3D All Stars.
Nice. That's always awesome.
You
It's a
guys
great
got
game.
go ahead with your questions or greetings.
Well, hello. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Happy
Merry
holidays,
Christmas.
everybody.
Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas,
Oh,
happy
camera's
holidays.
really low.
So, Mama, did you have any questions for John there?
Camera's
Yeah.
really low.
I'm trying to think.
Okay. Well, you think I do have an actual question here. It's going to be kind of fun.
All right.
Okay, so you did play the voice of Toad. We know that on the Super Show. Now, when that was brought to you, was it? Did you already know about the Mario Brothers? Did you already know about the video game series, or was it just something like, "Hey, we need this character, and you gotta"? What are you gonna come up with? I mean,
Well,
where did that all come
Super
from?
Mario Brothers Super Show was before the video game.
Was it?
I mean, it was, yeah. I mean, it was, when it was created. I mean, it was, it was a new project. Lou Albano and Danny Wells had worked on the live action, and then they called us in. Let's see, and they changed some of them. It wasn't Lou did not do Mario in the animated version, but Danny did. I think Danny still did Luigi, didn't he? Was Danny still Luigi in that? I'm trying to remember. But then we had Harvey Atkin was in it, and Walker Boone was in it. There were a few of us who who were brought in to do all of the additional roles. And matter of fact, Tracy Moore, who was the very first Sailor Moon, was Princess Peach.
Wow.
So there's an interesting connection there. Jeannie Elias also played Princess Peach. As in a lot of early animation, the roles were flip-flop. And again, to reflect on Sailor Moon, there were 3 Sailor Moons right over the course of the series, the old series, the original series. But when we went in to do Super Mario, it was one of those shows that was like, what the hell is this? You know, it was one of those shows that was like, it was tough to get into. And what kept us kind of together was the fact that the group was so great. It was a great group of actors. We got along really well. And a lot of the stuff, and you can probably tell, a lot of it was improvised. We would take the script and we would, of course, basically you got to stick to the script, but throwing lines around in and out, we got pretty good. You get used to performers, when they leave a hole, they want you to jump in, or they sometimes set you up. You set somebody else up because they've got a line that they use all the time. And we got into the rapport was really, really special in that great studio too. I'm trying to remember oh my God, I think the engineer, his name was Horst Kindrachuk. It sounds like a Ukrainian cake. Actually, I don't know. Horst Kindrachuk, I think that was his name. I don't know how that name just came to me now, but I'll have a migraine later from it. It was, the studio was called, I remember the studio, and I don't remember a lot of the studios specifically. It was called Masters Workshop because they used to do a lot of Christian music out of there. So Masters Workshop. And it was just the sound in that room. It was almost, the studio itself was almost wasted on the production, because when you listen to Super Mario Brothers, the production quality is not great. Right, there's a lot of extraneous sound and noise, and it's not nice and crisp. You turn on now and you watch animation, boy, and it's as good as having somebody go into a major studio, a big time singer go in and their work, and then now you listen to animation, and it's just the quality, because of the technical abilities that we have today, is tremendous. And back then, putting it down on audio tape and again, as you said, the background noise, but that studio was a fabulous studio, great, and way out in the suburbs. I remember because I was a city boy. It's like, where? And the area is called Rexdale. I said, there's a studio in Rexdale? Right? It was one of those, and we would all get out there somehow and do the work, and it was a lot of ensemble work. A lot of animation is done individually. It saves time, it saves money to do it that way, but we did a lot of work together on that show. Nice. It was it was pretty special.
That's awesome. It's kind of cool that you get so involved with the entire crew and everything, and all the producers and stuff. And it kind of makes it more fun, Well, if you're not having fun, you don't get the voice out, you don't get the entertainment going. You're just kind of there reading a script going, and they want me to do, you can hear monotone and droning on it. But when you're doing your voices and stuff, you can tell you're just like, this is mine. This is fun, and everybody has fun with it. And that's
Yeah.
what's great about it.
Yeah, I mean, I must say, and I don't want to be one of those guys that, well, back in the day, I don't want to do that whole thing, but it was different. I mean, and it always changes. It always, develops and morphs, and some good and some bad. But the camaraderie back then, and especially when you were doing ensemble work, was very different as well. The group of performers was much smaller. Today, man, oh man, I can't believe the number of players in the game. And sure, a few people stand out, a few of the women, a few of the men stand out and do a lot of work, but so many voice people now are one-offs. They come in, they do a character, because in those days, they just knew that they wanted performers who could perform and knew we would come up with the right voice. So they would, again, like in Care Bears, they would just hire us, right? And say, okay, Len, try this character. So Len Carlson would do something, and no, John, you try it. Jeez, okay, right? And I tried and go, no, that's not good. Keith, what do you think? Okay, Keith, you're doing that one, right? It would be. That's the way they were assigned. It did none of these auditions. I just found out a number. My wife does voice work as well, and she sent in a really great. It was a commercial read, and they one of those few times where they actually responded and said, "Wow, great read, thanks." But we had 2,400 auditions for it, and it was like 2,400. This is. Ooh. Yeah, and this is for one little commercial. Like, how many are they getting for an animated series that's they hope is gonna run for 5 years, where there's so much more money involved? So that's the thing now, is when I go in, I rarely work with the same people. It's always new people, and that's okay. The industry thrives on new blood, but what you lose is the camaraderie, knowing, again, where you hand off a line or where you take the ball from somebody else. And that's a very special thing that comes with knowing the people around you and trusting them. So, yes. Right, and that has changed.
Yeah, and I could definitely see how it might even change comedy a little bit with if you don't have somebody that you can bounce off of, if you don't have a good backboard, you're not going to be able to have a good replay. Yeah. Excuse me. And, if you're somebody new all the time, you just got to learn that person by the time you're done learning them. Next person.
Yeah, that's right.
Go ahead. Were you going to say something, Mama Slay? Did you have a question, or?
I just want to show him the picture I did of Toad.
Move it up closer. Move it closer.
Yeah, bring it up a little closer to the camera, Mom.
Oh, look at that.
Thank you.
That's so awesome.
That is some good
cool.
stuff.
That's a good Toad there.
Very awesome.
I get such a kick out of that when people do stuff like that. It's always needed. So
we've got
I always
Toads
feel very
all
honored.
over the
Thank
house.
you.
So when we found out that we're coming on here, it was really kind of cool.
I know, when I heard that he was coming on, I'm like, I get to meet Toad.
Awesome. Did you guys? I hope I didn't cut you guys off.
No, you're fine,
Dan, do you guys have any more questions or anything else you guys want to say? Or
no, I'm good.
No, but it was awesome meeting you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I'm here all week.
Okay, Mr. Switch.
To talk to you, sir.
Go ahead, Steven.
Hey, Mr. Switch, I think I might finally have a question, and it might go alongside of Slayer Dan. For John. So the thumbnail that I saw that Mr. Switch gave me was of you doing the voice of Toad. I just want to know how taxing on your voice was that, because I know you were younger in your days when you did that.
Yeah.
But how taxing was it to do the Toad voice?
Okay, good question. Very good question, because it's funny. I get the question that I get asked isn't that. It's kind of the other end of the spectrum. People say, hey, can you do Toad? And I go, well, I can do sort of a Toad voice now. At the time, directly to your question, no, it was easy. It's falsetto. You know, I just picked it up like that. And, but what happens, of course, as you get older, your vocal cords stretch. And so getting those high notes is tougher. So I can do it, but it sounds sometimes now sounds strained, but back then it never was. Back then, of course, I had those very youthful, taut vocal cords. And today they're all flimsy, and I can go a lot deeper now, though. So there's the other end of that spectrum. I wish I could do it more.
New roles.
Because it is what it, you know, I do get asked to do it, and sometimes I'll get like somebody will want a birthday thing or something, and I'd say I got to do Toad. It's like, well, I better go have a really, really hot cup of ginger tea with lemon and honey to get those chords all sort of loosened up so that I can do it. But I can only do it for a short while, and then I do start to falter, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those ones. If they wanted to do a remake, I'd have to, I don't know. I wouldn't be able to do it, I don't think.
Yeah, well, if you want to scare any kids with your Toad voice now, you could.
Like, that's great. So thank you for that, Stephen. You have any other questions, Stephen, or you're good with that?
I might have one more. It probably isn't as good of a question as I asked earlier, but for the Super Mario Bros. Super Show, was Nintendo ever involved with it or any Mario shows?
Not that I can ever recall. Nintendo picked it up because it was they felt it was a saleable package. I don't think anybody realized how big it would get. There are a couple of shows I've been involved with where people, when all was said and done, went, well, that one's done. That'll be in the dustbin in a year. And so Mario was kind of one of them. It didn't have those special kind of legs that you would think would keep it going. But boy, oh boy, I'll tell you, it's found its own market, of course, and look what it's grown into. It's huge. Right? It is. It's no longer. The original series is important because it's the characters and the sort of the makeup of in its infancy. But Super Mario's outgrown Super Mario Brothers Super Show by a long shot now.
Oh, breaking news.
All right. Let's get to the next one. Just Cliff, what do you got for us, buddy? And
Okay.
Happy holidays to you, buddy.
Thanks. Thank you. You too. Happy holidays to everybody who's in here. I was going to ask a similar question to what Steve asked. And I wanted to ask you, John, is how does it feel working on a series that has such a legacy? Like, not only the show itself, but also just the Mario brand as a whole. Like, as you said before, like the Mario brand has expanded to way more. You got Mario Kart, you got, just a month ago, the Mario Kart Live thing came out, and you have Mario Odyssey, so many different spin-offs from Mario, but it all started with the original Mario Bros. And Super Mario Bros. On the NES. So how does it feel knowing that you were kind of a part of something that was, you guys didn't really know it's going to be big at the time, but now it's like really big and really popular? Like, I watched the show as not as a kid, but in my high school years, I would go on YouTube and I would see so many videos of Mario Bros. Super Show, and I'm like, it feels so crazy to be here right now.
Well, it's kind of humbling, really, right? And I can only say that about a couple of shows, Mario, because again, if I go to a con, it's countless people walking around with the M and the L, and right, and yep. There's always some giant inflatable toad, right, and it's really an omnipresent kind of thing, and and the fact that there are now, I think, 5 people have done the voice of Toad since I did it, right? I think that's great. If you spawn a legacy, It's again, I'm honored to have done it, and I'm flabbergasted that it's done that well. And again, I think there are only two. The other one is Sailor Moon, which was like when we were doing that, it's like, what is this thing? This is terrible. This is awful, right? And occasionally you'd have a good moment. We never did that with Super Mario. Super Mario Bros. We had fun. And Sailor Moon, though we had fun, it was like, right? Just, as long as I get paid, it'll be a great show. And look where it is now too, right? So
yeah, that's really crazy. Like anime it's really popular now more than ever.
Oh, it's nuts. It is nuts. I mean, it's its own industry now, right? I mean, Crunchyroll is boy, oh boy. By the way, Sony just bought Crunchyroll. In case you're
Did they really?
Yes,
Yeah.
they did. Yeah.
Wow.
I even heard there's a Funimation app on Switch now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's official.
Funimation has stream.
I don't even know it.
Yeah, I have it on the Xbox. It's got some good stuff on it.
I got on my Switch here.
Just Cliff, did you have any other questions? For a moment?
That was the one question I really wanted to ask. If I have any other questions, I will definitely be sure to ask like later on.
All right, thank you, dude. Let's see. Let's get some from Awaken Bacon.
Me?
You.
Me?
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, gotta let him.
I'm
You sound very
here.
surprised about that.
What's that?
You sound very surprised that he called you.
Oh, I know. I'm so
I was gonna
shocked,
save him for
Steve.
last, but not let him get in.
It's a holiday.
Mr. Stalker.
Yes, sir.
So good to talk to you.
Thank you.
First, I have a statement that you were involved in 3 of my guilty pleasures back in the day that never really got over, but was really prominent in my life. Was Willed Warriors, Jason the Willed Warriors.
Oh yeah.
Mad Balls, and you mentioned.
Oh my God, Mad Balls.
Oh my, yeah, that was great. I think, and Cops, and I think all 3 of those shows were Deke as well, weren't they?
Yes, they were.
That was that. What was the experience like with Mad Ball? You seem to kind of like react to that.
Well, it's the one time. There are 2 characters. I played a couple of Skullface and something I can't remember.
Arg, I think the other one.
They talk to each other. They have a long one episode. They do this long scene where they talk to each other, and it's really, really rapid pace. And I remember it happened. They said, "Do you want to? Let's just do one character, and then you'll do all the other." And I said, "You know what? Just for fun, I'm probably gonna it up, but let me see if I can sort of go back and forth, right?"
Right.
And I did this thing where what was this? Yeah, that was like back and forth. And sometimes when you try to do that, you slide down in the voice as you sort of reposition your chords to hit another thing. And I listened afterwards, and I pat myself in the back. It sounds like it was sort of cut together, but it was one long take. I'd love to hear it again.
Nice.
Heard it somewhere, yeah. But it was one of those special moments that I went, and I was exhausted when I did it. I did it. Oh my God! I never want to do that again.
Somebody get me some water.
Oh man, well, not quite. But that was my favorite experience in that series. Yeah, it was Arg. That's right, Arg and Skullface.
Arg and Skullface.
Yeah, was it Skullface? Yeah. Okay. Boy, oh boy, it's been a long time since somebody's talked about that series.
Oh, I love that show. I loved it.
Well, of the 3, I must tell you, Cops was my favorite because it was, it had sort of
Chuki's favorite.
That is my favorite.
Yeah.
That's my favorite, Chucky. Back off.
Hey, you didn't claim it.
Totally
we got
claimed
a
it.
fight breaking out here.
That's okay. Long Arm will take care of it.
Long Arm. Yeah, he was kind of like the whole captain of the show. He had the
he was the young
sergeant.
yeah, he was the young voice of reason, right? Right. He was tough, but he wore like velvet gloves, you know. And and I've told this story a couple of times about it had one of my favorite moments in my career in it, because I got to play. There's an episode where Long Arm's father comes and Long Arm's father, of course, is an Irish cop, right? You can't have a cop and not see an Irish cop somewhere, right? And I played my own father, and he was, it was like he was talking to his son, boy, you got to do this, and you da 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 da, and he goes, okay, Dad, I gotcha, right? And it was a really, really lovely. It went beyond animation for me. It was a really sensitive scene, and it wasn't funny. It was one of those moments that I've got the series. I should go listen to it. Somebody, bless them, somebody gave me the series, but it's on, it's on disc, and I have my laptop doesn't play disc anymore, so.
Oh man,
yeah,
I would absolutely watch that. They had action figures. The action figures were really nice too, but that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, I had a Long Arm action figure.
My actual question. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No.
Before all this, before all the fame and majesty of being the voice actor that you are, with such a resume, I mean, it's huge. In 73 or whatever year you choose to make that, you joined with the Zoo Factory, comedy troupe, the Zoo Factory, with Dan Hennessy.
Yes.
How did that come about, and what did that kind of teach you later on in life? Like, it led to your career today.
Well, let me tell you about Dan, first of all. When I talked about Coming Up Rosie with Dan Aykroyd, John Candy, Gilda Radner, and all of those folks, Dan Hennessy was on that show as well.
I'm going to have to watch this show.
Yeah, well, if you can find it. It's a tough one. It's a tough one to find. But yeah, Dan was brilliant. Also a really excellent voice director. Dan voice directed Beetlejuice. And,
I loved Beetlejuice.
Oh, I love that show.
Oh, the cartoon was great.
Oh,
the cartoon is great.
Yeah.
I was Mr. Monitor in Beetlejuice, by the way. The guy I ripped off Ted Knight for that. Ted Knight who talked like this, right, on the Mary Tyler Moore show or something like this. So,
oh yeah.
I ripped off the character again. So back to stealing voices. Here we go.
Hey.
But Dan and I were good buddies. He lived. He was the sort of one of the first guys that lived way out in the country. He lived on a lake. It's called Lake Simcoe, which is about an hour and a half north of Toronto. And he had an old vet that he had two vehicles. He had a Lincoln, it was a Chrysler, an old Chrysler that was pre-downsizing. And this car was about, I'm not kidding, was about, the size of Greece. It was this big, huge thing, and it was air conditioned and it was lovely. And he had an old vet with the license plate cartoons, KARTOONZ cartoons. And so Zoo Factory, and it was Ben Gordon and I think Jerry Craden. Do you know these? Remember these names from Zoo Factory at all?
There was a Harriet.
Oh, Harriet. Yes, I remember Harriet.
I can't remember the last name.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it'll come to me. Harriet.
Spy.
Oh God.
Harriet Cohen.
Was it
Harriet Cohen?
Okay, all right. I don't know what happened to her. And there was Jerry Craden, I think, was part of it. Jerry was Geraldine. I think she was part of Zoo Factory. And I still keep in touch with Jerry. And her son and I have worked together. He's a sound design guy. I've worked together with him a long time. But yeah, Dan, that's where Dan and I met. Yeah, and we started to sort of hang out together and do naughty things together.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, legal in Canada, I can say it.
Hey, good deal.
Right.
Everything's better in Canada.
That's what I hear.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good place. Don't pay for doctors either. Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
jealous.
you just have to keep flaunting that to us Americans, huh?
Yeah. Well,
We're gonna have to go there now.
You-
We're moving all there.
Yeah, we're coming to Canada.
Not that
Okay.
far.
I told you I got 14 acres.
Canada.
We have Coors Light here, though, too, so it's okay.
That's all
Oh,
right.
what's your favorite alcohol, sir?
I'm sorry?
What's your favorite alcohol, Mr. John?
My favorite
Alcohol.
Beverage.
alcohol. Oh, boy. I don't know. I kind of like all of them.
They all work, right?
They all have their place.
Yes.
I like if I'm at something a little fancy, I like to have a little champagne. If I'm, if I'm out working in my yard, I do a lot of, I do my own landscaping. So if I'm moving rocks and using a chainsaw, I got to drink beer, That's after the chainsaw. You never drink beer and then use a chainsaw.
They just go hand in hand together.
So I'll
Chainsaw.
tell you, yeah.
And that's how you lose a hand in a hand is with.
I was going to say, my old friend
chainsaw.
Lefty. Yeah, got to hand it to him. But that's a question that I've never been asked before. There you go. So I got cold beer, a glass of wine, a nice scotch on a cold night. But I got to have the right one of my buddies over or something. And it can't be COVID. So
I know, right? One day.
Yeah.
Damn
Yeah.
COVID.
Rest in peace to those ones that drink Corona.
Oh,
Their stock did go down.
they
substantially
did.
after
Isn't that
the
bizarre?
outbreak.
Isn't
Yeah.
that bizarre that their stock went down initially?
Yeah.
And what I did was
No.
when I heard that, I went out and bought it. I bought it.
it's gonna become collectible.
Well, I
It's one
thought,
of those things you put on a shelf and be like, "You remember 2020? You remember 2020? Yeah, that's 2020 right there."
Waken, what else you got for us, man?
I was still kind of on the Zoo Factory. How long
Okay.
did that last?
very short-lived. Really, really short-lived. I think it was part of. It was trying to remember if it was part originally of a little sketch group that was part of a variety show, and I think it was. There was a singer, an old friend of mine. His name is Keith Hampshire, and Keith did daytime, nighttime, which I think was made it on all the charts. Big Time Operator, a couple of his songs, and he had a variety show, and that's where Zoo Factory sort of found that was assembled for that show, and it was great because I did the live intro for that show. It was Keith Hampshire's Music Machine, starring Keith Hampshire, Dr. Music, Soul Company. And it was one of those, and I did it live and the special guests. And then I ran off and came back in as a member of Zoo Factory.
Did you have a role in? I heard this. You had a role in Look Who's Talking Now,
Yes,
the movie.
yes.
What did you do? What did you do on that?
You won't see me, but you'll see my legs and hear my voice. I was the guy that owned the dogs, that had the puppies. So if you listen and you hear the guy talking about, whatever the lines were, right? It was a really great experience doing it. They flew me to Vancouver for it, first class, which I love. I don't get flown first class very often.
Fancy.
Oh, they knew how to treat me, and I took my current wife, There's only been 2. It's okay. So it's not like my current one. I think it was her. I took her. I said, "Do you want to go? I'm going to Vancouver." We weren't married at the time. I said, I'm going to Vancouver to work, and why don't you come? So she said, "Oh, that'd be great. You don't mind?" I said, "No, God, I got 2 days of work. They're bringing me out for 5 days because there's an outside scene and they want to." I said, "I'm going to have all kinds of free time. Vancouver's a beautiful city." So they flew me out, and my wife will never, women don't forget things ever. So I just know they don't. Women remember everything. And I still get been reminded of it today, not today, but to this day. She sat in economy because I remember I had, talking about alcohol again, first class, what was I drinking? Champagne, of course.
Of course. Of course.
Right?
Of course.
And,
Delicious
having
champagne.
it, and then turning around and looking back at her, I'd drink something I never, ever should have done.
Did you have your pinky out?
Biggest mistakes of my life. Because all I got was a sort of a benign no.
Right.
One of those. So anyway, look who's talking now. It was a great experience. I went out there with hiking, and she jokes about it. She's not that serious. Of course, I don't eat anymore. But I went out there and I did a whole bunch of guest roles in Vancouver because Vancouver was doing a lot of animation at the time, and Deke was out there, and that was back in was it 90, 93, 90? Was it around then?
Look who's talking now. Yeah, because it was the third one, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it's the doggy one. So
yeah, and it's it's great. I think about all those when the movie stars that do all those films. I still get residual checks from Look Who's Talking Now.
Really? From it being shown on syndication.
They're little because I had a small part, but those people, a lot of them who have this big storehouse of work they've done, don't really have to work. I'll tell you, it's unbelievable. It's lovely.
Huh.
But I did a whole bunch. I did Sonic the Hedgehog when I was out there, and I did. I did.
Really?
I guessed it.
I love Sonic the Hedgehog.
My agent called and said John Stalker
Nice.
in Vancouver, so everybody wanted me for their show. So on my days off, I got to go in and do different jobs. It was great.
Wow.
Mr. John, what voice you done for Sonic the Hedgehog? I'm curious, sir.
I don't remember. I don't remember. I'm not kidding. I have no idea.
Just to be clear,
I
we're not talking
remember-
about the movie Sonic the Hedgehog.
No, it's the TV show. Yeah.
See, I know I
cartoon
did it because
animation.
it's on my resume. It's in my, it's in my IMDb.
You did something maybe like a background. And
Yeah, I think
character or something like that, or-
No, it wasn't a
it's
background. It
like
was a guest
additional.
voice.
Yeah, it's like different. It's on different episodes on here, so it's actually pretty impressive. Pretty. Cool.
Welcome again, guys. Those who are watching, welcome Kotetsu and Luigi Guy to the podcast. Happy holidays.
Yes,
Hello,
as you can
Mrs.
see,
Switch.
I'm
Happy holidays.
very
guys.
festive.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays.
All right.
Very
Awaken,
festive.
anything else before we move on?
No, I'm good. You're a legend, John Stalker.
All right, let's move it on. We get something from Atari X.
Oh, happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Nice to see you again, John.
Nice to be seen. Thank you.
I want to touch base back on the movie things. Your time on the movie The Dream Team. How was your experience on that?
Well, I got to work with Peter Boyle, who I don't know if any of you remember Peter Boyle.
Oh yeah.
His
Yes,
first movie
yes.
was Joe, I think, which was the one where, well, if you haven't seen Joe, it's one of those really shocking endings. Don't even tell you. And I don't even know if the movie would age well, but I got to work with him in my one scene. And it was great. I worked with him. I worked with a really fabulous director. That's my memory of it, who said a line, told me a line, or didn't tell me. He said it and I was there, that I've repeated and I've never forgotten. And I can't, his name has slipped my mind, but we broke for lunch, and one of the guys that was working there came up to him and said, "Mr. So-and-so, lunch break, what would you like to have?" And he said, "You know, I'm going to have the same thing for lunch that I've had every day for the last 40 years. The kid looked at him and went, "Well, what's that?" He said, "A nap." That's a great line. So that's my memory, but I remember jumping up and down. We got Matachi. And yeah, that was fun. That was only one day of work, but it was very exciting.
Wow, that must have been hard to pull off.
What, doing that? Well, I'm an actor, I couldn't, don't ask me to come in and do, heart surgery or a hip replacement. That would be difficult for me, but
I wasn't asking for that.
Anything else, Atari X? What you got, buddy?
Yeah, because we touched base on John Candy. So I was just kind of curious, do you have any funny stories with you and John Candy?
God. Well, some of them I would not repeat just because
right.
I wouldn't want to repeat them. No, I can just tell you that John was the really sweetest, one of the sweetest men I've ever met in my life. Truly, we were. I said we were tight, and I mean, we were like glued together for a couple of years, and I can just tell you one thing. They always talk about how generous he was. That's one of the things that every time, if you see an interview or you see a documentary, everybody will talk about how generous he was. And when when I talked about going to the ball games, we would go a lot because we had the season's tickets, and he was starting to get recognized, and he would draw a crowd. And I didn't get recognized because I was a voice guy, which is fine. I mean, and we were together. We saw each other regularly because we'd either be doing Coming Up Rosie, or when he started SCTV, I was the voice of SCTV as well. So we worked together a lot in that sense. And anytime somebody would say, "Oh, John, can I have your autograph?" To him, he would say, "Sure." And then he would, he was so selfless. And he said, "Oh, and you got to know, you should ask John Stock. This is my friend John Stock. He's the voice of SCTV, and he does this, and the commercial, so and so. That's his voice." And he would share his notoriety. I mean, that's
cool.
sort of unheard of, really. I can't imagine actors today who are so caught up in their own self-importance actually sharing that podium of life with a buddy. It was just lovely. But that was John. You couldn't buy him a drink. John I'd have to sneak if we were out having a few hundred.
100.
Yeah,
Just a few hundred.
yeah. He would always buy, and I'd say, "John, you got only 5 drinks." No, I'd have to sneak in the back and pay the tab. So that when he asked for the tab, "Oh, sorry, Mr. Candy, it's already been paid," right? So again, that was a great time in my life. He was such a good friend, and when he left and his life changed and mine changed, it left a hole in my life.
Very good
Now
story.
I brought the level down.
All right, Atari X, we good? Or
There's something funny now.
Yeah, we're good. I want to thank him again. Yeah, I love hearing John Stocker's stuff.
Awesome. Santa Chichuki.
Right, I want to thank John for coming back. I think you're our first two-time guest on the show. So
Thank you.
so congrats on that.
Thank you.
Let's see. Shoot, I had it. What is a show that or a franchise that you worked on that you thought would take off in popularity, but were surprised that didn't?
Oh. Well, there was one called Stunt Dogs, where I played this crazy, wacky character. Fungus was his name, and I thought, and I was working with some really great people, my pal Neil Crone, and the late Greg. What's his name? It doesn't matter. Good, beautiful man committed suicide. Horrible, horrible. I'm taking it lower and lower all the time, as you know, right? Okay. So I thought that show would go further, just because it would the characters were insane. Another dog show called Dog City, which was a Henson production.
Yeah.
And it ran a couple of years, but I thought it would have bigger and stronger legs than that. I really thought it would go like one of those 5-year jobbies, but it didn't. There's a show that I directed and that it called Squish, and it's on air now. It's on can't remember what it's on. I can't remember what show it's on, and I don't know. It doesn't look like it's going to go any further, but I think it's really got the legs. I think it's a really great show. But I was a voice director, and I'm also in it. I play a few characters in it, which is my favorite. That's my favorite kind of production, where I get to be in shows that I'm directing, and I always tell myself, "Great job, John." Why, thank you. Oh, you're welcome.
Way to go, John. You said the show was called Squish?
Squish.
Squish. Okay.
And it's the company that produced it is called Cottonwood. And Cottonwood is kind of it's the same principles as Marathon. And Marathon was those are the people that did Martin Mystery and Amazing Spies, Totally Spies, really, really solid productions. But hey, you never know. Squish might go. I enjoyed it a lot, so I'm hoping. I think it's a really clever show. It's all about single-celled creatures, but they have personalities. It's fun. It's, I believe, the only animated series that's ever had a microbiologist on staff, because the references had to be right.
Oh, wow.
Intriguing information.
Neato. So you played a character named Fungus and Toad, and you're getting typecast.
And they're not related.
Oh, man.
Distant cousins.
Oh, God, I hope not. Cousins, and we're back to Sailor Moon. So...
All right, so when you're teaching, what is the hardest thing to get a message to get across to someone trying to learn? Like, what is the hardest thing to teach an up and coming voice actor or voiceover actor?
Okay. One is to sort of be yourself. Don't try to overextend. Don't try to overact. And a lot of people, when they're doing commercial work, become very theatrical, because so many actors going into voice work have theater training, and they make things way too broad. So it's a matter of smalling it all up and just being normal, if you will, just being yourself. Because too many people confuse volume with energy. You always, whenever you work, be it animation or an audio book or commercial work or whatever it is, it's always got to be energy laden, but it doesn't have to be loud. And that's something that's very difficult to teach a lot of people. But the ones that ultimately get it are, I mean, there's like that cathartic moment. I said, that was a really good read. What do you think? Yeah, it felt really good. I said, that's because you read it right. And your head said, that's right. And, you know, and your lips and your head were in agreement.
Interesting. I honestly think the hardest thing to learn would be to cry on command. Is that hard to teach? Like, or something like that?
You can't teach it.
Can't teach it?
Not really. You've got to be able to, you've got to have, there's certain things that have to be in place. That's, so many people want to be voice actors, and very, very few will be. Again, you can do them. Everybody may fit one role at some point, but to be a voice actor who can go on and do this and do that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, change their voice, change their character, change their personality. Those people have sort of an understanding of copy that I think is innate. I think you have to be born with certain abilities. It's like anything else. The guys who are accountants and have a predisposition for understanding figures and mathematics will make great accountants. They probably won't make good actors, but people who have something built in, whatever it is, are always going to be better following that. That's why we always say, do what you feel. You know, be a plumber. Not everybody's going to be a movie star. Be an electrician. Because there are guys, you know, the guys out there who say, yeah, I love doing, oh, listen, why don't you, if we put it here, we can do this. It's like, I got a feel for it. Those are the guys you want working for you, right? So then it's no different from being an actor. And some actors are great at theater, and some are great at voice. And the twain does not always meet.
And then I'll just say, have a happy holidays, John. Thank you for coming by.
Thank you, and you
All
too.
right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for that.
I pass it back to you.
Say something.
Thank you for that, Santa Chiki. I got two more people that haven't had a chance. We're gonna get on those guys real quick, and then we'll finishing off our holiday greetings. After we get these two guys, we got Katetsu. Go for it, dude.
Hello, John Stalker. This is my first time speaking with you, because when you were on before, I was like lingering on and off on the podcast, and I kind of officially made myself a part of this. So I'm really happy I was able to come on at the last second and get to meet with you and grab all the last minute wisdom that you got from everyone else's questions. I have one. I think, I don't know if someone's already asked this already, but I'm gonna take a dive and ask it again, or ask it anyway. What was the experience of being a part of being a part of Sailor Moon? Because you know that series has grown to be such a huge phenomenon. Even now, you still have, you have some redone, like reanimated versions of Sailor Moon, and the movies are great. And I personally feel like the English dub voice actors were really good during that time. So I just wanted to ask, what was your experience of being a part of
it was crazy in terms of its production. Again, sometimes I'd come into the studio, sometimes we didn't have scripts till the last minute. Please appreciate also that in those days we were working with cellulose that we would have to wait for, and if FedEx was late, we had a crazy producer who was she insisted on proper production, and she would get a little kooky, and I'd have to say, Nicole, there's nothing you can do. FedEx is on its way, right? We would have to wait for these big cassettes to come in. And so Sailor Moon was kind of scattered. It was also really interesting because sometimes we would do things like, well, there's one line that we have to redo, and the producer would say, well, get so-and-so to read it. I said, well, yeah, but that's so-and-so's part. That's somebody else's part. I said, no, that's okay. Just have her do it. Let's see. Can you sound like so-and-so? Close enough. Okay, let's do it. And it was pretty loosey-goosey, the production. Sometimes the performers didn't know. I mean, they had, if we didn't have scripts, we would be reading. This is a whole process. This is why when I go to cons and I do the Sailor Moon thing, I break it down and start from the beginning, which I won't today. But with
hopefully next time.
Rhythmo Band was the dubbing format, and the words were written, and as the words came across, they'd be stretched out. There'd be different configurations, and when it hit the bar at the end, that's when you had to say them. So you had to sort of figure out how to stretch out words. I know, right? Or I know, right? Because the word no could have been elongated, it could be short. And it was crazy sometimes because you'd get A-H, H, 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 and you go, ah, and it was, what they wanted was, ah. So when you watch some of that slip through, when you watch the original, you'll see a lot of little mistakes and interesting, which is why it still has such a strong following. It's because it was really organic, and we were just flying by the seats of our pants. Again, if you don't see a script, you don't know what's going on. We would sometimes, the performer would ask, well, what's the emotion? What are we doing? What's happening here? We play the Japanese, not because we didn't speak Japanese, but we could hear the intonation. So it's, oh, okay, she peaks here and she does that, but she's laughing, but there's a little bit of a cry in here.
Right.
Yeah, okay. And then so we would go back and re-record it using the Japanese sort of sensibility, if you will, as opposed to their words. Sometimes the speech would be a few flaps over, a few flaps shorter. We'd have to rewrite lines to make them work because we were lip syncing. So like that, we had to fit everything into where the lips went. Now the new version is as you know, is really cleaned up. It's almost perfect. The Viz, I'm talking about the Viz production.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's great. And certainly they've been allowed, the new production's been allowed to take it further, and the whole lesbianism that existed in the old one that we couldn't talk about, right? That's when I meant before, I was sort of joking about the kissing cousins with, with Toad and what's his name, that were kissing cousins. So that's great. That wall has been broken down. But when I do a lot of cons, and everybody says, which one do you like more? I say, well, which one do you like more? And I found out that that more people like the original version than, I don't know if there's standards like me yet. I would hope not. But more people seem to like the original version than the remake, because the remake is kind of perfect, and it looks, because it's perfect, it kind of looks like a lot of other things. Sailor Moon had something. It was the first to make it big. Astro Boy came before, but Sailor Moon just sort of blew it out of the water in terms of its popularity. And yeah, it was magical. There was something, and the female empowerment that came out of that series. I mean, it was great. And the wonderful thing about it too is now I get a lot of guys. I have people that come up to me and say, "I didn't want to talk all the time." It's like, it's okay, you have to be quiet. It's okay. A lot of guys love that show. Really? Yeah. Okay. There's a little bit of a stigma attached. It's like, no.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, when we were doing it, nobody thought it was going to be a hit. Nobody. Anybody that you go and see any of the performers who were in that show and they said, "Oh, we knew, we just felt it was going to be," they are BSing you. No, but we didn't. It was so rough and so ragged at times. And we didn't have a story. We didn't even know storylines. We would just do something from episode 32 and then something from 41 and something from 16 and something. It would be, okay, we got this performer in. Let's just do all these little bits. And we'd do all of her parts or all of his parts. And then we'd skip to another episode again for, oh, you'd be good for the guy that delivers the Chinese food, right? So, okay, here's the lines. It was just so all over the place. But here we are, 1992, and when it was, I think when it first came out, finished in 98, and 25 years later, it's huge. It's huge.
Yeah, like just like you said, like I like the original Sailor Moon. I remember watching it, on Cartoon Network, Toonami around.
Oh, Toonami, a classic.
It was like I think it was like one of the, depending on what day it was, I think it was like one of the first 2 slots on that. And like you said, because it was so organic and like you mentioned, you guys had to kind of scramble and get everything together. The fact that now knowing that that's what you guys dealt with and it still came out to be the show what it was, like people don't want to know how the sausage is made, but with this it kind of like adds that, since I know, it's like it's even better because now you're talking about all these different elements and having to scramble this and that, and that you guys still put on a great show. Just the dubbing, put on a great show and still told an awesome story. I commend it, and it was just really, still awesome show. And that was my question. Like I said, I want to keep it short, but thank you for answering, and thank you for being here again with us today.
Thanks, pal.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Look at that too. All right, we got our last guy here. Luigi guy, what's going on, dude?
Hello, everyone. I was a little bit late to this. What's it called again? This
podcast. Happy holidays.
Podcast episode. Sorry,
John Stalker.
I'm a little bit late. And I wasn't really prepared for all of this. But I just want to wish everyone a happy holidays. I made a video showcasing my top 3 best 2020 Nintendo Switch games in my opinion, and that video will be up pretty soon.
Yep, it'll be up around Monday or Tuesday this coming week. I'll post Luigi guy's nice video that he sent me.
Nice.
So
yes,
cool.
And I have something else for the holidays. I made this setup for the holidays and for the Mario 35th anniversary for this year and next year. Hold on, let me just showcase it.
Okay, nice. Got the characters there.
Cool. There we go. I want to wish everyone a happy holidays from the bottom of my heart to the Gamerz Realm podcast.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Happy
holidays.
Thank you
so
everyone.
much, dude.
Thank you.
The shrine
You're
of
welcome.
Mario.
Thank you, Luigi.
Can I just say
Thank you, Luigi
something?
guy. Go ahead,
I think
Jess.
me and Mr. Switch are the only people who got the memo, because look at this Santa hat and
I'm saying.
Mr. Switch has the and I can't
don't worry, I decorated.
We don't wear Santa hats.
They're wearing Santa hats.
Yeah, I mean,
I like came out with
Santa
this. You can't
hat, it
see it
would've been
because my
on.
camera's like this way, but
Blend
okay.
it.
See, I couldn't see it. See,
I got
there
the
we go. See,
beard,
we got
I don't
three-
need no
John Stalker's
Santa
got an
hat.
excuse. He's got a nice thumbnail for the
What?
video.
Wow.
I mean, I'm not-
wow.
Hey
and
guys,
then
I mean,
another
I'm
thing,
not- I mean, I'm
Okay.
not wearing my Santa hat, but my hair's red, so that counts,
let 'em
right?
know.
Yes, it does. Very nice.
I
All
got
right,
a
guys,
body
let's
of Santa hat.
let's finish off the podcast with everyone taking a quick chance. I'll call off names, and you guys go ahead and do any of your wishes to the group, to the viewers, and to John Stocker. You want to go ahead, and we'll start off with Ryan Drayson.
All right, yeah, John, thanks for joining the podcast tonight, and Mr. Switch and everyone that normally runs the podcast. Thanks for having me back on, and yeah, I just want to wish everyone here on the podcast and everyone watching, and just wish everyone a very Merry Christmas, season's greetings, happy holidays, whatever you celebrate. I just pray and hope that you have just an awesome holiday, and that you're able to connect as much as you can, even if it has to be like this online. That you can connect as much as you can with your loved ones, your family, your friends, and that you can celebrate the season for what's important, the connection that we have with each other, and what it's all about.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan.
Slayer Dan and Mama Slayer.
Mama's got something she wants to say real quick. What's that?
Yes.
I just want all of us to, if we can, raise our drinks to thank Mr. John Stocker for showing up tonight. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
I
Merry
don't have
Christmas,
a-
everybody.
Thank you.
But
I don't
pretend you
have
got a drink.
I don't have a drink, so I'll just hold up my iPhone
There you go.
case.
That's even better.
Hold up your iPhone. There you go. Hold up a toad. Hold up whatever you got to do.
And cheers to everybody. Merry Christmas to a better New
Merry
Year.
Christmas.
Yes.
Yes.
Definitely. Cheers, everybody. Cheers.
Thank you so much. Awesome.
And definitely thank you for having us tonight. I know you had Mama on the show before, and it's just really, really nice to actually come on with you guys and kind of chat and have some fun. I always enjoy it.
It was fun.
Yeah, I just got to remind myself to shut up sometimes, but I didn't do too bad tonight.
Hey man, you were awesome. You guys were both awesome.
I usually talk a lot more, so I will have to end on that. But dude, everybody, Merry freaking Christmas! And I've kept myself very PG tonight, just so everybody knows I'm not PG. I always keep myself as PG as possible.
Thank you.
Stuff like this. No problem.
All right, thank you so much, dude. Chichuki, Santa Chichuki.
Well, I think my beard covers the no Santa hat, so I think
so.
I'm a good for that. So
I think so.
It's his disguise.
I want to thank everyone who came out tonight. I want to thank all the guest hosts. I want to thank John again for coming on. I want to wish everyone a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, every part of the spectrum, and we hope to see you again in the new year.
Right. Thank you so much, dude. Awaken Bacon.
Hey, 2020 has been a weird year. And becoming a regular part of this crew for the Gamers Realm podcast was kind of a surprise gift. It kind of came out of nowhere from a conversation that me and Mr. Switch had, and it's been a blast. I always have a good time with you guys. I've been a part of the show since episode 33.
Nice.
But outside of that, I appreciate everything that we do here. John Stocker, it's been a treat to talk to you today, and everybody have a happy holiday. And like Chuki, I'm going to cover them all. You got Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, even if you celebrate just the winter solstice or just have a good time this time of year, happy holidays, everybody.
Thank you so much, dude.
Thank you.
And the guy with the best shades, Atari X.
Yeah, right.
Short and sweet. First off, I want to thank John Stocker being on with us again. I appreciate every minute we have with him. And then I want to say happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Thank you guys for having me on the Gamers Realm, and now I'm part of the cast. And I appreciate everything and very thankful and humble to be with this group of people. And I want to say thank you to all the new people I met tonight. It's nice meeting every single one of you. And I hope to see you all in 2021.
Thank you so much, dude. Thank you, Atari X. Martel, Mr. Martel.
Oh, yes. Well, thank you. I just want to say thank you for Mr. Switch to get me on. This is my second time on here. I just want to say thank you, Mr. John Stocker, for sharing the wonderful memories of John Candy and so much wonderful favorite actors and actresses. Just want to say a word of encouragement. Despite the year 2020 has been such a hectic year for everybody, just want to say appreciate every moment you can. Take the time out to love each other and love yourselves. Mental health is important. And closing words from everybody: happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, and may 2021 be a better. May it just be the best year we upgrade to. Like they say, we don't age, we upgrade.
Right.
All right. Very good. Thank you so much, dude. Just Cliff.
Okay, well, first off, I want to say thanks to Mr. Switch for having me on again. That's my second time being on the podcast and my first time being with Katetsu, my teammate.
I was gonna say that you took the joke. I was gonna say.
Those guys got their own podcast together. It's very nice.
And then I also want to say thanks to John for being on the podcast. It was very educational. I learned a lot of stuff. Just overall, like just your experience being on the Mario Bros. Show, and also your experience as an actor and a voice actor. And there's a lot of things that you talked about today that was very informative. So I just want to say thank you to John, and then everyone else. Have a happy holiday, and then I hope that everyone like spends the entire holiday, playing games with family and friends, and just having a good time overall. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you so much, Just Cliff. Steven.
Okay, so now it's on me. God, the pressure is already getting to me. Okay, what do I want to say? First, I want to say thank you to Mr. Switch for letting me be on this podcast. I may not always be on these podcasts, I'm just a guy who likes to do his own thing, really. So, but it's always nice to catch up with Mr. Switch and whatever he's doing. This might just be my first time on this podcast, but I feel like I'm one of the OGs here. Ever since Mr. Switch first started streaming, I was always there. But other than that, it was nice to be on this podcast, and nice to meet John and all that. And I just, in terms of 2021, I just hope we have a better year than what we're having right now.
Thank you so much, Steven. Thank you. Kotetsu.
Honestly, I'm gonna try to keep it short and sweet. 2020 was definitely a year where wasn't just everything that's going on, but it definitely gave people a chance to slow down and kind of think about what was going on. And for me, I was presented with two awesome opportunities to be a part of, podcasts with Cliff. He definitely gave me the opportunity, and I didn't even think about doing a podcast until I started working with him. And then Mr. Switch, I've been on there once or twice before. And then I think I kind of officially been a part when Awaken Bacon started. So definitely an awesome opportunity to meet so many amazing people, and being able to talk to someone like John Stalker, who has a legendary resume from not just being, in front of the camera or in front of the mic, but being behind it and passing on that knowledge to everyone else, even to us. Because a lot of that stuff you were talking about doesn't just apply to being an actor, being a voice actor. It really applies to going after other things, like what we're all trying to do today. And it's definitely been. It's been a weird year, but I would definitely say it's been a blessing because I was presented with opportunities that I didn't think I'd be able to be presented with. And I just want to wish everyone a happy holiday and be safe, and use this year to thrive next year. And again, I want to thank John Stalker and Mr. Switch for just allowing me to be a part of this. So thank you guys, and everyone have a wonderful holiday, and let's start off 2021 strong.
Thank you so much.
That was great.
That was very
Luigi Guy.
I just want to say happy holidays, everyone. This is my second time being on the Gamers Realm podcast, and I don't really have much to say except 2020 may not be the year for everyone, but we still had a lot of great expectations throughout the year, like great video games to enjoy whenever you're even if you're just not really great at video games, you can just be excited for them. and like myself. And I want to wish everyone a happy holidays and a safe 2021 and a safe 2021. Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you. Yep. Thank you, Luigi guy.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. Take it easy. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Before I officially wrap it up, I do want to ask John Stalker one last question. Can you say happy holidays to the podcast in your Ultron voice?
Oh,
Oh.
yes, I certainly can. Happy holidays.
Oh,
Very cool and very
Really?
maniacal. I have to say, yeah, very
It
cool
was
and very
awesome.
maniacal.
I
at the same
I
time.
love it.
I
so
love it.
Give me
yeah,
one
that's one of
sec to
the.
say happy. I specifically Googled every holiday in December. So I'm going to cover the spectrum here. All you folks and anybody else who's listening, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Pancha Ganapti, I hope I said that right, Las Posadas, Yule, Kolyada, Kwanzaa, Diwali, and even the pagans get Saturnalia.
Saturnalia. Yeah.
Ah.
Wow.
I do remember. I haven't received John Stalker. I know you sent them. I should be getting them any day now. I know the mail's being a little with the holidays and the COVID things are. I should be receiving your autographs from the last time very soon, so I can send them out to the people. I am going to be purchasing 5 from you. 5 more. I'm going to give them 2 of them. The first 2, I might have some more afterwards, but right now we'll stick it at 5. And I want Slayer Dan and Mama Slayer to have an autograph from you. So I'm going to have them, we'll talk, and then that way I'll purchase them and have them the opportunity. And I'll select others, tomorrow to get autographs. But for those who already had from last time, they will it should be coming very soon, guys. I'm just waiting. I'm checking every day out the door, and I just got a notice in my from my apartment people that they keep saying the people were passing by stealing boxes recently in our complex. So I'm
Not
like,
cool.
they were actually caught, these other people.
Oh, good.
But I know what's in my package. I'm just like, you better not get my package. I'm looking out that door every day. I'm just checking out, and so I'm just gonna be racing out for that. But either way, I'll be getting some more. And for anyone afterwards, I will be for those who want to purchase after the 5 I give out, I'll let you guys know today in the next few days too. For those who stand by, you might be one who receives one. So I'll be getting 3 other people, but the first 2 are Dan and Slayer Dan and Mama Slayer. So
And let me tell you
That's awesome.
that if that package, if some porch pirate has taken it, or if they don't show up, you let me know, and I will of course replace them.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'll make sure I catch them
And murder them.
So either way,
spot for me.
It's been an absolutely tremendous year since we started the podcast, April 13th, where we began our first one. This being episode 43. It's crazy. 2020. Right now, I haven't had I haven't been working. I've been collecting, but it's just like I had the opportunity to spend a lot of time with my son, and do the podcast on Fridays. And this week was crazy. We had one Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. This is the last one of the year. Won't be doing any more podcasts the rest of the year. Gonna take a 2-week off, and we got to focus on starting something brand new in the New Year's and just kind of getting out of some of this negative. I'm sure we're going to see some of that next year, but it's going to be better. We're going to make it better. And, hopefully this COVID thing that's happening, gets handled with a lot better. In the meantime, stay with family, love each other. Everyone have a happy, Merry Christmas, beautiful New Year's. Again, don't forget about those family members that we can't really see. Reach out, give them a call, give them a text, whatever it takes, to just reach out to each other. And, it's kind of, sometimes it does get very emotional when you're not around, I spent like the last 6 days without my little Luigi, but I just got him yesterday, and he's driving me nuts already. He's taking down a Christmas tree, but I love it. Just like he was spending time with his grandparents, now back home, and so it's just we just gotta and make sure we don't miss any second from each other, because again, it's just I'm hearing a lot of things with other friends and family, and it's scary out there. But don't forget, guys, enjoy these holidays, and always be there for each other, and don't forget that. So I'm glad to started this podcast. I'm glad to have you guys all here today. I want to thank Ryan Drayson for coming on. I want to thank Wake and Bacon, Santa Chuki, Slayer Dan, Mama Slayer, Atari X, Martel, Just Cliff, Luigi Guy, Tetsu, Stephen Malone, and John Stalker. You are legendary. I appreciate you so much for giving this opportunity that brings us all joy in what you've done over the years to make us believe, and just we grew up with you. We were there. We were young, and we are here today, and enjoying still enjoying your great works and your voices of Ultron and all that good stuff. So it's amazing what you've done, and you've done so much for us. And I want to let you know that we love you, man. It's great to have you, man. We appreciate you. And I'm going to say to everyone out there who are watching, thank you guys for joining me on the live chat. And we'll see you guys all next time. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year, guys.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.
All right. Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Be safe.
Christmas.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Take care, guys.
I'm head out.
We are off the air now. We are not on YouTube any longer.